a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, just kind of a little brief history of how you got here. And I know your story, but yeah, feel free to go for it. And I think you should be able to share your screen. I think we're good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me share, and then I'll give you I'll give you the too long don't read version. Hold on. Right. But it's just, do you guys care? I'm just going to leave it with the whatchamacallit,
whatever
the
works
slide deck
for you.
on the left side.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is like this is the bio that I use on Twitter. This is what we're doing. Why email should be your primary marketing channel. But me, you guys, I've been in this space now 14 years this March. And I thought I was going to be an information marketing millionaire when I started. I was going to write ebooks and become a millionaire, and the rest was history, right? Okay. Then I found WordPress the first year, and I started my business 2008. Quick little story. I was widowed in 2003. I had 2 little kids. I had to find a way to work from home. You guys, I wasn't even attaching stuff to email. All I did on my computer was games, email, or what else did I do? Photos, like saving photos. But I decided if I can put together IKEA furniture, I can figure out WordPress. So, I kind of fell in love with it. My first brand was the WordPress chick for 10 years. And I really was just sharing the journey. Talk about ignorance is bliss. And I was like, oh, I figured out how to do this with WordPress. And I would share it. And, there were trolls, like, whatever, it happens. Because I'm not a developer. I'm not a trained designer. I'm just a creator, honestly. And from there, I started then doing WordPress sites, and I started bartering, and then I started paying, people were hiring me to do it, but I always liked creating content. I like the sharing piece of it. And it's funny with the content piece, even I go back and I look at the first post I ever wrote, and I'm like, what happened to your brain that day? Because, it's just robotic, right? Because you feel like we're trained to write in school in certain ways. And it was heinous, but you keep at it. Anyway, so the WordPress chick tenure, I started an outsourcing company. So I had designers and developers, because that's how then I started doing it. I'm like, well, I can help people figure out the marketing piece and the branding piece. And from there, then I was doing coaching, and all these people are like, oh, I need designers and developers. One thing takes on another. I launched the WordPress Chick podcast in 2013. And that blew up my brand, mainly because I got to connect with people. It is the best thing I ever did, second to email, or they're pretty tied at this point. And really, every single thing I've done in my business because I wanted to for fun is what has paid off ROI in terms of income and profitability. I just was tired of being behind the computer all day. And I'm an audiophile. I'm going to date myself here, but the cassette tapes in the car, right? Like that's me. I've always listened to audio. So I loved podcasts. And I just had fun. I would do a solo show and then do an interview and connect with someone in the industry. Fast forward, I hit a point and I was like, I think there's something else I'm supposed to do here. I closed down the outsourcing company. I started a SaaS with a developer. We worked on that for like a year and a half. It was called Lead Surveys. And then we shut it down like 2 months after we opened it. And it was more personal stuff going on. He had gotten sick. I had had some challenges with a kid of mine. And so life happens, right? But through that process, I really started pivoting to my personal brand. So the WordPress chick became kimdoyal.com. And I just was sharing, I probably share more than a lot of people would be comfortable with, but I've definitely baby stepped my way into that. I was not, and I'm a big differentiator between personal and private. And all of this ties into email as an FYI and what you share and how you share it. And so I started a content creators Facebook group. God, that was probably 2017, also 18. I'm not sure, but then I had an idea for a physical planner. It's called the contentcreatorsplanner.com. I reached out to a friend who is a designer and I said, can I hire you or you want to do this? She said, yes. And I said, which one is it? And it blew up, you guys. We went into paid traffic. We went from a failed Kickstarter to like 40,000 a month in sales. It's been a whirlwind. We're not sure what we're doing with the brand at this point, just because our personal brands are so intense. Anyway, so, I'm living in Costa Rica. Life has had many ups and downs. I moved here about a year ago. Love it. But in 2016, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to figure out email marketing. You hear it over and over and over again in the digital marketing space that the money is in the list. And that's kind of as far as it goes. And so the problem with that tagline also is you feel smarmy. Like you feel a little bit like, I have to just sell all the time. It just, so there was another marketer I followed, and I made a commitment to myself that I was going to do daily emails. I called them almost daily emails because I wouldn't always email on the weekend. And it's real simple. It's a story with a pivot and a call to action. So at the time, I had an opt-in on my site. I had a lead magnet. And at the time, I'd always collected email addresses. I'd mail now and then. I didn't have a structure. I didn't have a strategy. And I always was afraid. It's the goofiest thing, right? What our minds will do to us. But I went from, I don't want to bug people, to then daily emails. And I just got to this point where I'm like, I have to figure this out. There are other people that do it and it doesn't bother me. So how do I do this? And the marketer I followed, I literally watched what he did for probably a year, you guys, before I pulled the trigger. First month, kind of crickets. And then people were unsubscribing because, again, if you collect their name and email and they don't hear from you, they're like, who is this person? What? Anyway, so by the third month of doing that, I had tripled some affiliate income. And I was stunned because I went from kind of sharing things now and then. And this, at the time, you guys, I'm still sort of figuring out, like, I was trying to get out of service work. And I should also mention in there, I pulled up the podcast, I had a done for you podcast service for a while. And that was great too, because they were high ticket, right? And so we had a whole onboarding process. We would produce it, publish it. I did the strategy piece. We did stuff on their sites, so I've definitely had my hands in the content piece and the tech piece. But the missing piece was always this, I don't want to say marketing, because I can push to social and all that, but there's a kind of secret sauce that happens here. Long story short, it's the best thing I've ever done for my business, because when we launched the planner, like I said, we went with a Kickstarter. I don't know why I decided we needed to do a Kickstarter in the beginning of December. However, when we realized we weren't going to reach our income goal, Kickstarter doesn't give you the email addresses unless you hit your funding goal. And so I went in and I literally I messaged every single person there and said, we're going to pivot. So the week right after Christmas, we got Woo Up. We set up the store on our site. We pivoted. We went to pre-sales on the site. And, New Year's Eve, we did like 1,500 in sales, and it funded the print run, right? And we're like, all right, we're onto something here. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm limited with furniture, so I have to sit on something at my desk down here. I can't go into Office Depot and get a chair. So anyways, the other piece with the email for the planner that I learned is we really continued to just go deeper and deeper. We had the automations, the follow-up sequences, and then we started to do, hey, we saw you didn't buy, right? So you start getting into the conditional logic and the triggers of they bought this, but they didn't buy this. And, to be able to generate, a few $1,000s a month through automations, you just it's stunning what happens there. The other piece, and I'm sorry, it's still in the bio, and we're going to get into this. And you guys have probably seen this. Newsletters have made this massive comeback. And so I have a newsletter called F the Hustle off my site. My whole list gets it because I'm tired of hustle culture. I'm all about, I can't even say the word right, so that tells you. I'm all about doing the work, but I like doing good work and deeper work and creating relationships, which I just can't do the hustle stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's an age thing. I'm like, I've raised my kids. I'm like, F off. Please stop telling me to work more. I can't. Anyway, so email marketing and newsletters have really become my sweet spot. I think we've all experienced this feeling of, I keep saying that the space has matured. I think the online marketing space has matured. I think consumers have gotten smarter. They can see, oh, this is a launch, or, oh, this is how this is happening. And to the point, I have this love-hate relationship with social media. I like it when I can have conversations. I'm tired of being the product. So if I can't get SEO value or create relationships, I don't spend a whole lot of time on there, to be honest. But from that piece, what can we do today, right? You have to create an asset, your email list. And I'm going to just do a little pre-qualifier disclaimer. Please assume that everything I'm teaching you is because you care about your subscribers, that they're a list of actual people. They're not just emails to sell to, right? But at the end of the day, you need an asset. If someone came to you and said, I'd like to purchase your business, what is there to purchase? So here's a little example. There was somebody I met here and they moved, thankfully, but had a podcast production company and was she had pitched family and friends on investing in her company. I'm like, what are they investing in? Your equipment? Like, do you have contracts? Do you have a database of people that consistently pay you? Like, where are the assets in there, right? So even as a content creator, I mean, obviously I couldn't sell Kim Doyal, right? But take the content creators planner. We've got a much bigger list. We've run a lot of paid traffic there. And that's an asset. The planner is an asset also, but that email list is an asset, right? Because we have data for everything we do. All right, so let's kind of jump into this. So my goal is to help people. I'm on a mission. I want you to create consistent recurring revenue with email marketing. And you can do this. Like I always tell people to aim for like 1,000 to 1,500 a month. And that's outside of any launches or like a product offer, or if you're doing a course or whatever your space is, right? It's very easy to create consistent recurring revenue through email marketing. And I keep saying this is my only regret, is that I didn't focus on this sooner. Again, like I said, I had an email list, I collected subscribers. And at one point, I think I deleted like 3,000 people when I was shifting to my personal brand. Today, I would do a re-engagement campaign and I would be a little bit more strategic about it, but that's how we learn. So today I want to give you one very solid strategy that you can implement. But I've got some stats for you, but why email is the best content and marketing platform for your business. I repurpose email a lot into blog posts. I even have a category called daily emails. And the thing is, of course, there's no search value in daily emails, but the search value is that I create a post and then I publish it and I share it. And those are much more, I don't want to say it, it's my voice, it's my cadence. And so people connect with me because they're a little bit more on the personal side versus an SEO researched in-depth piece of content. I think they both have massive value. I want to talk to you about why you should spend more time on your lead magnet than you think. And you guys, I just switched this over. So I'll give you a quick little stat for something that happened within like 3 days. How to create a lead magnet based on your ideal customer continuum. And I'm going to explain to you what that is. How to create your follow-up sequence to pre-frame your offer, and then what to offer at the end of your email sequence. And I'm just going to give you the exact, I'm going to tell you what I've done. Okay. So just a couple things. I think, everybody does the email's dead. This is dead. That's dead, whatever. I honestly think every single platform works when you put the time and attention into it. Anything that you give consistent energy to, that you measure the results from. But there are 4 billion daily email users, right? So it's not like there aren't people reading email. 78% of marketers have seen an increase in email engagement over the past 12 months. And again, piggybacking off social, I had asked my email list one time, and see, this is an example of an email I sent. And I literally, the subject line was, I'm curious. I wanted to know who was still on Facebook using the platform. I'm not anti anything. I just think people need to A, figure out where they feel best and spend their time there, and B, are they getting results? It was astounding. Most people are on it very little or have left the platform altogether. One person is on there. He has a very active Facebook group. He spends a lot of time in there though. But just a couple more stats for you. 59% of B2B marketers say email is their most effective channel in terms of revenue generation. And I apologize, I should have dropped the links. This is through HubSpot, does an annual email marketing statistics. So you can just Google HubSpot email marketing statistics for these. Effective channel in terms of revenue generation. Email subscribers are 3 times more likely to share content on social than leads who came through another channel, according to QuickSprout. This one blew me away. 73% of millennials identify email as their preferred means of business communication. And lastly, people say they prefer HTML emails, but plain text emails actually get higher open rates, which I've experienced.
That third one, that's crazy to me.
Well, you know what I think is interesting? This is why it surprised me too. Have you guys heard there's a new social app called Be Real? Have you heard of this?
I have not heard of it. No.
Just a week ago, I heard of it. And you guys, like, I have a tendency to go grab my name and then get off of stuff, right?
Sure,
like,
yeah.
What was it? Clubhouse. I grabbed my name and I'm like, no, thank God I didn't do that.
Oh yeah. I think TikTok, I spent 2 hours on Clubhouse. I'm like, I'm out. Nope.
Yeah. I was like, I can barely focus on like a podcast by myself. I can't do this.
It's just chaos.
It's chaos. The thing is, I think what's happening again, where I was saying the market's matured, right? I think people are getting to the point where they really realize they're tired. Oops. SMS is preferred. Yeah. Interesting. Well, and I think
that's where I was coming from. I'm like, most of the millennials or that age group, it's text messaging, direct messaging, DMs, so I'm really surprised about the email, but.
Well, two things. One, they probably did this study, or whether they gather the data via email. So, let's take percentages and data at face value. Like, there's a little bit of wiggle room there. But the other piece of this is look at the youngest in the millennials is what? It does say business communication. Sure, yeah. You've got what are millennials? 97 to 1997. So it depends. Like I don't know what the age group is or below. Either way, it surprised me too. But the other thing I was going to say, to Lisa's point, was email allows you actually, when people opt in, you can do both, right? And I will tell you, for a while, I had really gotten into, this was a few years ago, I was connecting Messenger when I would do a live stream or a webinar, and I got like a good 20% more show up rate to register to the webinar live streams when I included an SMS reminder. Like, it's not going away. And I know people that have amazing data on that. I think it's great for e-commerce for sure, but I would probably use it specifically for follow-up reminders. That's it, like in my industry, in my space. So you have to do what's right for you, right? Okay, so just a couple things. This is why I think it is the best content and marketing platform for your business. Again, it's an asset when done correctly. Your list becomes an asset. You know what they want and how to help them. So as an example, my FSL newsletter, and I love this with the data piece, which ties in, but when I started it, I was including books. Like, I'm an avid reader too. So I'd include a couple of books. And then after sending a few issues, I realized nobody was clicking on the books. So I was like, well, let's move the books. I added additional tools. Like, I include a couple articles, a couple tools, but I went to 4 tools and boom, right? It's amazing when you can just look at that data. So even with iOS updates and the stuff that we're, really realizing that, okay, are the open rates what they say they are the click-through rates? But here's the thing, you guys, I literally get a little depressed when nobody replies to my email. That's how much I expect to hear from people, because I've created a relationship with them. And I can even show you the email I sent out today. It was story-based, and the only link to click, besides in my signature, was to follow me on Twitter, because I'm getting so much more engagement there. There's SEO value there. And I'm looking at the data. Twitter is driving so much more traffic than anything else. It's literally, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I'm like, but wait a minute. I'm like, Kim, you sent it 20 minutes ago. Settle down, Tiger. Right.
Just for the recording, Sharon said, but I'm the same way. So depressed when I don't hear from anyone. So it's so true. Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, data, right? You get that. And then you can repurpose it. When I do a story-based email, like when we're done with this, I will take the email that I sent out, put it up as a blog post, and then I'll queue that to my social. And that's, again, where conversations happen, because you forget that, like, this is what surprised me with Twitter. And I've been on all these platforms since I started. I had a tendency to push content to Twitter. And I have another newsletter I'm doing with a friend, Jason Resnick, where we're literally building an email list in public from scratch. We're like, all right, let's start at 0. And every issue of the newsletter is how to build your list. We're showing tests we're running. But he's getting massive data when you start looking at where my subscriber rates have gone up, everything. So this is not here to sell Twitter. But again, the best part is that most email content repurposed has SEO value. So to my point, where I create a blog post, there's some SEO value there. I mean, if you wanted to go that much further, I haven't gotten into Google Web Stories. I think there's an opportunity there. I could take it and I could make a video. I could put on YouTube. So I look at email specifically as the relationship builder. It's the greatest tool for selling. And then where can I get other value from it, as opposed to like a podcast? You can do the same thing. For me, because I have kind of slowly fallen in love with writing, which surprises me. I used to hate copywriting. I love it, because when you realize you can change a sentence and increase conversions by 20%, it's worth your time. All right. So this is spending more time on your lead magnet and why it's more important than you think. Side note, that is not my house, but it is live Costa Rica, no filters at someone else's house. The sunsets here are friggin' unreal. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about this. I'm calling it lead magnet magic. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like to, I'll pull up. Sorry, I should have had this open sooner. I want to show you how I frame these and the outline that I use. The nightmare that is Google Docs. Okay. Let me get rid of this. So sorry. Okay, so we will pull that up in just a minute. All right, so this is truly my favorite lead magnet of all time. I think it was Italian in a previous life. I always talk with my hands. So I do email courses. Okay, so you're going to send an email course and I'm going to explain this, but then I'll kind of show you how it builds on each other. Okay, so let's just, you've got your traffic over here and the goal, so you've got your opt-in and what you're getting people to sign up for is an email course. So you guys heard I've been through all these different iterations in my business and I'm super public about testing and trying and moving on. Like it's just kind of how I'm wired. So probably, I don't know, 4 years now, I've just been digging deeper, email newsletters. So my new lead magnet on my site is called Easy Email Marketing. Everybody on my list is like, that's great. I've got this, I've got that, but how do I get started? Or I'm kept right. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create this and it's called Easy Email Marketing. It's an email course, obviously delivered over email about email marketing. I know that's very meta. So this is the flow though, right? So you've got an opt-in, you've got the thank you page, and we can talk a little bit about that thank you page. Then you send your emails. Now, mind you, this follow-up sequence, I didn't have enough space on the deck, is 15 emails total, right? But so there's actually 9. There's 9 here. Then we're going to let them know there's a special offer coming. And then we send them a survey as to why it didn't come. And this is, to give full credit, this is based on Brennan Dunn's Lesson Bridge pitch survey. He's an engineer though, and my brain can't, like, it takes me a while to dissect what he talks about. So I break it down into this, and I will show you exactly how I've pre-framed this. Here's the thing. So with this, what I've done is, so you get the emails, you go through the full, there's 9 emails, and I'm going to show them to you. And then we wait a little bit and there's just a few days. And then I send the bridge piece of that is where I'm going to connect the offer that I'm making to the previous 9 emails I've sent. Okay, so then we have a couple emails that say, congratulations, you finished the course. Stay tuned next week. I've got a special offer for you. And then we do the special offer and I send 3 emails. Here's the special offer. And I haven't put a countdown timer. I think I do, but it's not an actual, like a deadline funnel where it legitimately will go away, the offer. I just have to tweak the tech. And then the 2 days later, today's your last day. And then I send one at 5 o'clock. And I'm going to tell you guys that this was such a discomfort for me initially when I did this. Cart's closing, you've only got it, right? It's hard when that's not how you're wired. I'm not wired as a salesperson, but the first time I did this, I used an 8 email sequence to sell a $300 course, and just to a smaller list, I made $7,000. Like, isn't that worth it? And I just made a commitment to myself that I was going to use the language that I was uncomfortable doing, and I was still myself. But there is a psychological factor that happens when you remind people that there's a deadline, and scarcity or not, it works, guys. It works at the grocery store. It works at, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So anyways, just know you might be a little uncomfortable doing that. So then we are going to, like I said, bridge the offer. And then what I am offering at the end, so it's Easy Email Marketing. And then I have created 3, I call it the Ultimate Email Template Pack. And I should probably change the name of it because I've got video training in there as well. I've got your complete ultimate opt-in sequence. I've got a webinar sequence, and I've got a sales sequence. And so I've got an outline, how to use the product, and then I walk through the entire sequence explaining how they build on each other. The first week I put this up, and it's a $197 product, I made 2 sales. And so you guys, this stuff works. So then you say, all right, I've already got the validation. How do I feed this engine over here? Right? So there's that element of it. Any questions on this? Okay, so what I'll do, let's keep going. And the reason, when we talk about this is because a lot of people do lead magnets and they're like, oh, just 3 quick mistakes that you're making. And I've done them all, or a checklist or whatever. But you want your lead magnet and your front end offer to really make a good first impression, right? So when someone opts in, And here's Kim being Kim. So I set this up. I took the whole thing, all of the emails, I put them into a beautiful PDF in Canva, and I emailed it to my list. And I said, hey guys, so you don't have to go through the drip sequence. Here's the whole thing. Well, I set the automation to be triggered by a tag. So I also tagged everybody. So my list got both, right? So one guy told me, he's like, by the way, I'm getting the emails too. And I'm like, God, I'm sorry, I can't stop the automation now. However, I can't tell you how many responses I got from those emails from my list. I'm loving these emails. These are so fun, but whatever, because of the way I wrote them and structured them. Okay. So remember, the first impression you make when someone comes into your world, why not go all in? Why not create massive value and really give them something that's going to help them, right? All right. So I'm going to show you the emails. Like I've got the whole outline here. Okay. I'm going to show you those, but I want to explain the client continuum and your ideal customer, your ideal client. And I've learned this recently through a program I'm in where, and I think it's a good shift, and it's in saying you have one ideal client. It's just that they're at different points on their journey, right? So I like to do, I mean, we've all heard the customer avatar, the client avatar in terms of, you do all the demographics. I love doing psychographics for my people. I think of the type of person that I want in my space. I want somebody who is completely self-responsible, they're open-minded, and the glass is half full. Call me Pollyanna, but I'd rather deal with people that operate from that place, okay? So the client continuum, I base this off of, I have this 3C framework, all my emails, create, connect, and convert. So, and I started doing this when I really was working on the planner. My core content value is that I want people to feel better for having engaged with my content. I want them to either learn, I want them to be entertained, or I want to connect with them at a heart level. Okay. And so in that example, to date, you guys, one of my best pieces of content, quick sip, was an email I sent. It was on the anniversary of my husband's passing. He was 32 and he passed in a car accident. And this was 14 years later. And it was a Sunday. And it didn't hit me until a couple hours later what day it was. And I was so grateful to be on the other side of that. My kids and I were good. We had gotten through it. And I thought, I'm going to share this message. So the subject line of the email was in loving memory and a personal message of hope. And I shared my story, which you guys has always been on my bio. I've talked about it in different talks, right? Your origin story matters. And you might get tired of telling it, but people need to hear it. So I shared it. And I literally just shared what the day was, how grateful I was to have realized this. And the end message, I didn't even have a call to action, was simply, your dreams are worth pursuing. I hit send and think about it. I must have gotten 30 to 40 responses on a Sunday to that email. And then I thought, I'll publish this as a blog post. So I published it as a blog post. I put a picture of us. The photo for the post was on our wedding day. I queued it to social. The highest engaged post, comments, social shares to date still, you guys. And I've been doing this a long time. So the point is, it doesn't always have to be, how to do this and how to do that. A, that creates a list of freebie seekers. And B, people like connecting with people. We're all looking for those people that are relatable. I cannot tell you how many people came out of the woodwork, I'm not kidding, from high school that are like, so I've been thinking about moving out of the country. How did you do it? Right? I'm just sharing what's going on in my life. And so you become relatable and people feel that connection to you. Okay. So this
let me ask you, Kim, let me stop you for a second. So when you shared that, was that on your personal account, your personal stuff, or is it related to like the Kim Doyal brand?
Brand.
The Kim Doyal brand. Okay. That's interesting.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I try and tell people as well. Like I've got clients that want me to do their social media for them. I'm like, you know what? I can share a few things, share from the website. I got tools for that. But the best engagement, and I think this goes along with email marketing, the best engagement you're ever going to get is it comes from you personally. And that's not something you can hire out. You're going to have to either, if you're not comfortable doing it, then you need to get an intern into your office that comes in 2 or 3 times a week. You find somebody in the office that likes this kind of stuff, but it is really, really hard to outsource
your voice,
your voice, your company, your brand, your vision, all that stuff. It's so hard to hire that out. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If you just share a little about yourself, it's way more impactful.
Well, and so a couple of things, the sharing piece of it. And again, you baby step into it, you guys. I didn't go, I mean, I lost my mom a couple of years ago, unexpected. And I cried on the podcast explaining why I disappeared. Right. But people I had shared when she was in the hospital and stuff. And so it took me a long time to get to that place of sharing. But what I realized is the more honest I was, and not meaning like you're lying, I'm not saying anyone's lying, but the more I shared, the more people connected and thanked me. It's stunning when people say, thank you so much for sharing that. Or I had a woman write to me from Greece that said, I've been following you for a long time. And she said, I just want you to know that there's a woman in Greece who's taking care of her elderly mother who opens every email you write because it lifts my spirits. And it's like, that gives me goosebumps. She may never be a customer, but what a greater element, right? What a greater piece. And if you just, it's amazing. And so, and the other thing is, I will say, keep in mind that I don't know how I had the foresight when I started, but all of my social profiles are just Kim Doyal. It's my brand, but I never did the WP chick or any of that. It was always Kim Doyal. So it was very easy. And so, you know, it really works. This is where everything is content. Okay. I have a hashtag, you guys, that came from here's a great example. Another one, an email I sent, the subject line was, I literally fell down the stairs. You probably heard the story, Christina. And so because I decided at the time, you know, I was going to go walk my dogs, I'm walking down the stairs and heaven forbid, I wait till I get to the bottom of the stairs to pick a podcast to listen to. No, I need to multitask. My foot, I could feel it slipping. And I was just like, oh my God, this is not going to end well. And so people who know me could hear my voice in the way I wrote. And I was like, the only thing that happened, my ankle was a little sore. I broke my sunglasses, but I was like, my whole point and how I pivoted that to a business email is how often we don't pay attention to what's right in front of us. What if you focused on what you had to do today? And that it takes practice to be able to do that little pivot, but it's so easy. I had so many responses. People who knew me were like, that was hysterical. I could hear you. Other people like, are you okay? I'm like, you guys, I'm fine. Anyway. Okay. So the client continuum, I want you to think it this way. And what I can do is maybe I'll pull up my post on my site where I did a little doodle. So again, I want you to think that you've got one ideal client, right? So they're on this continuum. And so at the beginning, and I will show you my example. So this is always going to be specific to, so let me see if I can just riff here, right? And let's do it as a website client. So you've got an ideal website client who you want to spend good money on a quality website and stay with you, right? For whatever sort of recurring maintenance or packages or whatever you have along the way. Okay. But maybe that person, so you've already sort of defined my ideal client, what their market is, they have a successful business, i.e. they can afford to pay you, but they're new to how all of this works, right? So they're here. Maybe the middle person's like, well, they've got a website, it's okay, and it's driving some traffic, but they know that they could be doing more. So this, your champagne client, your ideal client, you know, they're like, yep, what's the next step? They bought in, they've got a site that produces traffic and leads, and they want you to help them continue to scale, right? They're a lifetime partner for you. So the point on this client continuum is that you always want to be creating content that speaks to your top client, okay? Meaning, I should say the top or the end of the continuum, because the whole thing is the person who's over here at the beginning wants to be over there. So let me just show you really quick. And I'll walk you through an example. I just pulled that up. Apologies here. Just give me one sec. Because I just did this. And let me tell you guys, this is how I repurpose content. So as an example for today's outline, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast on it. And so I created and dropped the whole framework into this. So this is the podcast episode I did last week. Email marketing is the holy grail of business. Here's why and how to get started. And so, and again, most of my solo shows I write out are like 2,500 plus words, but there's a lot of content to repurpose here. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bigger. Hopefully you guys can see this. Can I do that? There we go. And so, excuse a doodle. This is from GoodNotes on my iPad. So I have a group coaching that I'm launching, and I'm going to tell you something else with this. I did this last year. This is the power of email and how people are trying to figure this out. So if you have a specialty, if you have that one thing that you keep thinking about doing, I created a cohort training. And I said, look, I want to work with 10 people. It's 2 months long, 2 calls a month on email marketing. It's called Email Insiders VIP. I said, just hit reply and let me know if you're interested. And I hopped on calls, you guys. I didn't have a sales page. I had nothing, but I had a conversation with each person. It was $1,000 for 2 months. So 2 emails and $10,000 later, I had a group, and then I did it again. And the thing is, I had promised 2 calls. I did 4 calls every month. I did extra because I was digging in. I felt like I was getting paid to really figure out the problem and how to solve this for people. So this is where I realized my ideal client are service providers, coaches, clients, and content creators. I know it sounds very all-encompassing, but so my continuum, if you look at this, so this initial stage, so kind of level 1, they're collecting email addresses. They know they're supposed to do this, so they have some emails coming in. You know, the next phase, and again, pretend there's like 10 points on this here. So they're starting to maybe send occasional emails. The third step on this continuum, and remember, this is my one ideal client. It just depends on where they're at. They're focusing on list growth now, and maybe they're sending a newsletter. All right. The end, my ideal client, they've already bought into email. They know they need to do it. They're committed to doing it. And it has become a primary traffic source for sales for them. Okay. Because again, you've got that relationship. It's a lot easier to sell to people who you've already sold to than that cold offer. Right. And so they're generating 1,000 to 15K a month, 1.5, sorry, 1,000 to 1,500 a month automatically. Again, outside of launches and offers, all through email marketing. Okay. So this is my client continuum. So ideally, I'm creating aspirational content that talks to that person who is my ideal client, because the person over here who's collecting email addresses, they're like, yeah, I'm doing it. And I want that recurring revenue, right? And you guys, when I talk about newsletters, let me just tell you in a traffic side note here, I go off script all the time. I apologize. But a side piece of that is you can buy an ad in a newsletter. I haven't added sponsorship to mine yet, but I'm going to. Here's a great example. There's a guy, Josh Spector. He has a newsletter called For the Interested, talks to marketers and business owners. And he's got a list, I don't know, 18 to 20,000 people. I spent $100 and I got 46 leads. Okay. So that's $2 a lead-ish, right? A little over $2. But here's the thing. Those people responded to me already. Those people have emailed me back. Those people are conditioned to read via email marketing. So where could I acquire leads cheaper on Facebook? Absolutely. We did it with the planner. We could acquire leads for 40. This was a while ago. I haven't done any Facebook ads in a long time, but 46 cents a lead. But we started going in and looking, those people weren't becoming customers. And so a name and email address, I'd rather spend, I think it's Dan Kennedy who said, the person who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins, right? But you earn your way there. I'm not, you guys. So I bought another ad in Josh's newsletter. I spent another $100 in someone else's. These are untapped traffic sources. And I'm going to tell you that there's newsletters in every market, in every niche, whether it's finance or home building. There are plenty of places to find newsletters to test doing a sponsorship or a classified ad in. It really works. So the whole point again is I'm thinking everything I'm doing. So my emails, my content, you've got one client, right? And just always think how do we create things that speak to them, inspire them? So my easy email marketing builds on that. So let me pull this up for you guys and I'll go bigger. So bear with me. You guys okay on time? I know I'm okay. Let's go a little bit bigger here. I'll kind of go quickly. All right. So these first 3 emails, we're identifying that there's a problem. Okay. So, right, they're all going to stack. So there's a problem. Email number 1, there's a problem. And I'm talking about how many times have you heard that the money's in the list? Okay. So where I say this is when I'm sending it, the subject line, excuse me, in most of my templates, now I include the preview text that includes the content. I'm going to talk about the money is list. Okay. So I go in, this is not the full body content. I wrote that in ConvertKit. So then my call to action is listen to email marketing. It's never too late to start podcast episode. That's it, right? I'm not selling to them. Email number 2, we're going to reiterate a problem. And I've been there. I feel their pain. And in this email, I'm talking about how did it feel when you put your heart and soul into creating a product or an offer, and it was crickets and nobody bought. It sucks, right? So what would that look like if you had an email list? So the call to action is that I linked to my business partner and I did a live stream on how we went from a failed Kickstarter to 40,000 a month in sales. And that would not have happened. I'm going to tell you right now, and my business partner is amazing, brilliant, talented, but I was the one with the email list. We could not have launched that planner if I didn't have a list of subscribers. At least not the way we did, right? Without putting a bunch of money into traffic. All right. So the third email in the problem piece is going to talk about what happens if you don't actually fix the problem, right? So I'm talking about vanity metrics don't pay the bills, right? Social follows, likes, all of that. So in this case, there was a time when organic social worked. So I talk about that. And then I'm talking about, instead of focusing on numbers, focus on relationships. And this is where you start creating those subscribers. Another podcast episode, listen to why I'm doubling down on email marketing here. Okay, so those are the first 3 emails. The next 3 emails talk about the problem can be solved. So now we've been like, this sucks, doesn't it? Now it's like, but don't worry, I've got a solution for you. So good news. And this is when I did, holy moly, excuse the language, but this shit works. That's my funny saying about email. Is I started talking about how my almost daily emails started generating recurring revenue, and it can be for your own products. At the time, I was strictly service-based. That's why I was using affiliate marketing. And then I said, here's an example of a story-based email about my choice to move to Costa Rica, which again, you guys, I got so much engagement on this. This was an email. I said, it's official. I'm moving to Costa Rica. Responses, I published it as a blog post. Email number 5, here's how things can start changing when you put the time and attention into it, right? So I have this thing I do. It's called, let's play the what if game. And this is an exercise I did with a mentor because we have a tendency, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, this whole what if is to do the what if up. What if it does? What if it's fun? What if it's easy, right? So I'm starting to get people into this space of, feeling like there is possible. So then I send them to a post to teach them how to play the what if game and start reframing. What if I could do email marketing and it could generate leads and sales? What if I could? And it's all about that commitment to doing the work. All of this stuff is time and energy and work, guys, but it'll pay off. So email number 6, then I said, how things change for me, feel the fear and do it anyways. And this is where I talked about being nervous about that language, that the card's closing, whatever. So then I'm talking about being themselves. And one of my F the Hustle newsletters was marketing lessons from Adele. And this was after, she's just come back out with her new album. And I don't know if you guys saw it and this is where, again, everything is content. Hopefully you can see these pieces fitting together. But Adele had done a concert in Britain, and it was kind of like the who's who. And there was even Samuel L. Jackson was there, Emma Thompson, all these people. So Emma Thompson gets up and asks a question of, did somebody inspire her? And Adele says, oh, it was her year 8 teacher who helped her fall in love with writing and English and stuff. And she said, do you still stay in touch with her? And she said, no. And she goes, oh my God, is she here? Her teacher got up on stage and Adele just lost it, starts crying. And the point was, she was so real and so raw, because then she said, well, now I got to fix me face. She did that. She had a friend come up and entertain the audience for a few minutes. The point is that endeared her, love her or not, but it was such a prime example of showing up genuinely as yourself. So that was the call to action. Again, guys, I haven't sold to them. So the last 3 emails, and this is the email course, is why you're the one to solve the problem. So, and you're going to talk about why you want to help them solve the problem. So I shared the story of how I deleted over 3,000 people. I really taught a lot of people when I had the WordPress chick not to buy from me. I would have so many people emailing me, well, how do I do this? And how do I do that? And I would get all bent out of shape, like, well, you hire me, but I hadn't conditioned them. I hadn't set that precedent, right? So then I did another podcast episode, why I created a totally free course when I had pivoted to email marketing. My lead magnet was content traffic Kickstarter. And people told me, you should have sold this. I mean, you guys, there were 40 videos and they were short, but it was all about content marketing and building that and how your content drives traffic and sales. All right. So then email number 8, why, again, I'm still the one to solve the problem. And I start talking about who I've helped solve the problem. And so I share the story of this course, List Explosion, that was 8 emails to $7,000. And I'm going to tell you, this course, List Explosion, because I got like 500 new subscribers in it in less than 10 days, was based on how I did this, the free course. So do you see how I created this free course? I pre-promoted it. I pre-framed the whole thing. I got subscribers and I'm like, wow, I can teach how to do this now. And that wasn't the intention, but it worked. And so here, the call to action is just to a tool that helps me grow my list. So everything is all about email and how I'm growing this. Last one is number 9 is you're the one to solve the problem, how I can help them solve the problem, but I'm still not making an offer. So I talked about this, about the 3 different stages of email marketing, marketers, where you're at in your journey. And then I sent a link to one resource for each stage. If you're here, try this. If you're here, try this. And I think I switched this call to action. I was going to just do a workbook, but I think I did something different. Okay. Now we get into the bridge emails. Okay. So these are going to be the, hey, guess what? I got something for you. We're going to connect them. Now that you finished the email course, here are some examples on what you can start writing about, because that's a lot of it. So the 2 biggest things, I'm not a writer. I don't know what to write about. So I gave them examples, another link to an example of a daily email. And then now I'm telling them I've got a special offer. So drum roll, please. By now you get the value of email. You're on your way. Next week, I've got a special offer for you. Until then, click here to check out one of my favorite email marketing tools. Again, so I was just talking about different options here. So now the offer emails, I'm waiting 3 days and this is when I'm sending it. So the subject line is PayPal notifications. Anyone has a question? Because I'm sorry, to this day, nothing beats getting that PayPal notification when I'm out to dinner or hanging out, whatever. It's like, oh, I just got,
I go to my Slack channel. I've got a special Slack channel and it bing, like you've got mail.
Yeah. You've got money. Yeah.
You've got money.
I had a friend in e-commerce that did that he set it up so that it was a cash register, ka-ching, every time they made a sale on their phone. So, I talk about, what if you could learn how to attract new subscribers, take them on a path to becoming customers all through email, save 50% on the ultimate email master pack here. Same thing. So this email specifically, your questions answered, is part of the sales sequence I use. And so this is a great way before you're closing a cart or before you're closing an offer. You list 4 to 6 questions. You answer objections in this email, reminding them that the cart is closing on their discount tonight at midnight. Click here to save and start selling with email. And then this goes out at 5 p.m. that night. And this is just a straightforward email. Just a reminder, goes away tonight. The fact that I accidentally triggered this to my list and made a couple sales in a few days, I was like, boom, validation. So now what happens when you start turning the gas on to what comes into the front end? You guys, everything I do online is to create relationships and get emails. That's it. That's all I want to do. I mean, obviously I want to solve problems through the courses, but if I can bring people into my world, I can create the relationship. I can work with them. I can help them solve their problems. All right. So I just showed you how to create the follow-up sequence that pre-frames your offer. Again, so this is what that looks like. And I can do the slide decks if you want these two. Problem can be solved. I'm the one to solve the problem. Congratulations, I have an offer. And again, save 50% off on something, right? There needs to be some sort of scarcity or special offer that you're only giving to them. And so then what to decide at the end of your offer. You want to make sure that that next logical step is absolutely, okay, great. I'm sold on this thing. You've convinced me. You've taught me. I love this process. I've bought into it. Now, how do I do it? Right. So it should be a next logical step. So whatever it is. And so maybe for you guys, if you're doing websites or you've got web clients, it's schedule a strategy call, right? A paid strategy call. This has to be a paid, make it a paid offer. Now, a lot of people will put a paid offer on a thank you page, and you can. I think it's worth testing. I like this process. Like, I'm in this for the long haul, so I don't need to make an offer right away. So yeah, that's it. Any questions, any comments, anything I can help with, let me know. Oh, I just made it 11 o'clock. I did it. Okay. It's kind of quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I guess you had one of the slide decks in there was choosing a whatever it is, the thing that gets them to subscribe. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of my clients, So if we do any kind of email funnels, it's always it's very hard. Like I've got one, these are construction companies, remodelers, and I'm always trying to get them to do a little bit more advanced marketing using email because, it's a long process before you decide to have someone come in and remodel your bathroom. you know? And so I tell them, put them on some kind of email funnel. It doesn't have to be fancy, but the struggle is, you know, creating that, I forget what you call it, the lead magnet. Yep. Creating that lead magnet. Now for them, they're not going to create it. I have to create it. On the flip side, I have to create something. I can't do it individually for every single remodel. It's almost like I have to do the same one. And I feel like I'm cheating.
Yeah, but well, here's the thing. I mean, unless they're like competitors, right?
No, they're always in a different space.
Yeah. So
sure.
With a remodeler, that's perfect. And I have a friend that does that I should connect you with her, but that is in the home builder space completely. Right. And so if you had a free course on what to expect when hiring a remodeler, right? The 3 stages to hiring a remodeler. So the problem is, again, come back to problem can be solved. I'm the one to solve the problem. Right. So, and again, you want to think story-based with this. So the problem, I would probably start out with like, what's that dude on one of the, I don't even DIY or Homes on Homes, right? Where he goes in and cleans.
Yeah.
No, Homes on Homes goes in and cleans up hatchet jobs where people have hired contractors. And
got it. The fix. Right. Yeah. Fixes what the other guy broke. Got it. Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's the problem. You're scared that you're going to end up, or I mean, I haven't done any remodeling. I've hired contractors for tile and stuff, but you would think like, that's one of the things I think down here, if I were to buy down here, I'm in a whole different world, right? Different, especially since un poquito español, I'm still learning. But so I would preframe it as a story. Like, you're afraid. There's this fear of, oh my God, I'm going to get screwed. I don't know what they're doing. The project's going to take longer. It's going to cost me more money. So that's the problem, right? And I would just create like almost like a mini case study. And as an example, when I did those template packs, I created a fictitious business, Christina. So what I would do is create a fictitious and have fun with the name of it. I would create a fictitious business, remodeling business, and you can make up the story. You probably have enough, right? And so you're not cheating by providing, because the value is to their subscriber. You're giving them something good as long as it serves the subscriber. So that would be the problem. What are the problems? And your remodelers could probably tell you. You could say, all right, what are the top 5 complaints you hear about people afraid to hire a remodeler? Get them to tell you. Okay, the problem can be solved. Here's how you vet a remodeler, and here's how you find out, right? And then I'm the one to solve the problem. You share successful stories. That's it. And a piece in there that I would probably share is I would pull in a little bit of that origin story, right? So where I was telling you guys, I've shared all these, very, I don't want to say failures. And I don't know why. Troy Dean had said to me one time, he's like, you're so public about stuff that doesn't work. And I'm like, well, I figured out what didn't work. Now in my personal life, other failures, heaven forbid, right? But for some reason, I don't care about it in this space. But so those origin stories, like that's what makes you relatable. So if you shared a remodeler story of, look, we went in and we cleaned something up, we weren't sure we could do it. So we sat down with the client and said, this is how we're going to figure this out together, right? You're getting that buy-in. And all of a sudden, I think with business and marketing, people forget to pull in the feelings and the emotion, right? If you can get somebody bought into, like, I'm hoping you guys get how much I love email and how much it truly works. And it's because it's made a difference in my life. I don't know that I would have made the leap to CoStar. I know that I can send email and make money, right? And that's not the intention, you guys. I do a lot of value and stuff, right? But I know that shit works. So it's a lot easier to take risks and leaps in my life because, okay, I can do this. And so the problem can be solved. And then you share those successful stories, right? And then whatever it is he's selling on the back end, I would just, even if it's a paid call or something, and it's a different market, but the goal is to get them to take an action. So maybe the goal is, look, not only will we're going to do a free strategy call with you, but we're going to create another white paper or something, but you want there to be an incentive. And you have to stick to truth with the scarcity and stuff. So it really will work in any market. And I would think it would even work better in some of your markets because that's a big investment. So that commitment to hire someone doing remodeling, look, if they're willing to send me 15 emails and actually educate me and provide that value, so, and then you have to look at the calls to action and whatnot. But there's a much bigger buy-in when somebody gets to do it on their own term. Like, I always do that. I'm always looking at real estate. I love to look at stuff, and I'm like, every real estate site almost now in the United States requires a name and email and phone number. I'm like at one point before I decided to stay here, I was like, maybe I'll go to North Carolina. I'm like, oh, gee, now I'm getting texts from North Carolina realtors just to look at stuff, right? I'm like,
Right.
Let me just look. So it can be done in any market.
Right. Awesome. Hey, does anyone have any questions? Feel free. Just unmute.
I'm happy to riff or give you suggestions if you're not sure how this would work in your market.
Kim's very good at riffing. If you haven't figured that out, she will absolutely riff. So, Dorothy, you're unmuted. You have a question?
Yes, I would like to know your recommended email marketing platforms.
So the two that I use are ActiveCampaign and ConvertKit. We use ActiveCampaign for the planner because it has a deep integration with WooCommerce. And I use ConvertKit for mine simply because I don't need any commerce happening through ConvertKit necessarily. It happens through a cart or a processor. The trick is, and again, like I can show you guys again really quick. So let me see if I can pull up one of my newsletters. The thing with ConvertKit is they don't really have a visual builder, but there is a tool that Brennan Dunn created. Let me find one here, where I can do, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Let's pull up this one. All right. So this is what the newsletter looks like. So each of these elements, like this, thanks for being here, I use with his builder, and it's liquid code, and I just copy and paste snippets in. So it depends on what you want. And then these are all me, like most of it's text. Mine is my stupid little memes and GIFs that I throw in there because they're funny. But like this little signature, these are also, he's got newsletter templates. So again, like I like visual builders, and I think ActiveCampaign is actually coming out with a whole new editor.
Oh, really?
So yeah. And I think it's much more ninja, honestly, than ConvertKit. So I'm not saying I wouldn't make a move. I would have someone move me, but I like ConvertKit for what I do. I use ActiveCampaign. I honestly think that the best one you can use is the one that you're comfortable writing in and creating in. That most
I use
of them
ActiveCampaign because I love the automations in it, and I love being able to tag. And I mean, I can share my automation. It's pretty complicated of if thens, if they have this tag, go here, if that tag goes there, because then I can customize it. Right. So and visually, if you're new to it, it's not hard. It is very easy to understand. I love the user interface. I just had a client had Infusionsoft, which I call Confusionsoft, because to me it's so complicated, so expensive.
For a company that made a lot of money, they could have done a much better UI.
Much better, right? And so, I pulled him out of that, put him in an ActiveCampaign, and he manages it himself now. We got him all set up. So I prefer it because it does have that. Now they've got tiers. The other thing I like ActiveCampaign for is it's also got a customer relationship manager. So I can, like what Kim was saying, it connects to my commerce. So I know I can call up who does what, who's my most profitable client, and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, because the big deal right now is following those funnels, right? And like following up, not just like seeing if they're clicking on something and then following up with what they click on, right? So that's what you're talking about with the logic.
Yeah, well, yeah, and what we did in ActiveCampaign for and FY, like ConvertKit has visual automations and everything now too. But with ActiveCampaign, it was interesting because, and this is probably more my partner's brain, amen. But so we would set, short automations that we could kick in, and instead of saying, so how you can go really crazy with these crazy long automations, if this, then that, and then this happens, all of a sudden you're down here. So we would set up the initial piece. If this and that, then move them to this. And then they go into just new automation. We don't pull it in. So you don't end up with these nightmarish trees. So it really depends, and even with the personalization. So here's one thing too, like I love And I believe there's a way to do it with, again, snippets, but this is what pisses me off about ConvertKit is I don't want to have to copy and paste liquid code. That's why Brennan's created this tool. But I love conditional content also, which you can do an active campaign very easily. So if someone's already bought this thing, I can show them a different block of content that makes a different offer or says something else. So, you know, so I think I probably will move off ConvertKit to Active Campaign for my personal brand. I just am not there yet.
Okay.
Hopefully that helped.
Yeah, they did.
ConvertBox is my 100% favorite opt-in tool across the board. It's got conditional logic. It's clean. It works with everything. So that's my favorite opt-in tool.
There you go. Hey, Aisha. You got a question?
Hey there.
Hey.
Okay, so my question is, I am starting a personal coaching business. I've got some leads from Instagram. I have a website, so I had them sign up for my email, and it was very sporadic. Long story short, I just wasn't great about checking my Squarespace to see who all had signed up. So it's been radio silence from me. They signed up for my newsletter and then I never showed up. So now that I've discovered this, I'm like, I need to get in touch with these people. But now I feel weird that it's been this like weird time lag. And I'm like, hey, remember me? What do I do? Like just email. I thought about personally, and by the way, I'm not on, this is all very small scale. So I'm not on an email marketing platform. This is all going to, for now, since it's so small, just be like from my like Gmail account. So I thought about just sending this handful of people like a personal email saying, hey, like just checking in, make sure you want to get my email. I'm about to start it up or something, just to kind of acknowledge the, like, you signed up for this. I'm a real human person. Sorry. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I agree with Eric. Never market from your Gmail account, but so you want to do like a re-engagement sequence is what they call it. But probably, so I would pick MailerLite has a free, if you want to start, I would do. Okay. So here after Dorothy asked me about platforms, MailChimp makes my head hurt. I don't know why, it makes me crazy.
Constant contact too.
But I would, MailerLite and ConvertKit, they both have free accounts. So
I hate MailChimp. I hate it. I'm dying.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you, girl. So, but what I would do, if you could send a personal email, and what you might want to do, I don't know how many people are you talking?
I mean, it's like less than 15, like somewhere like,
I think you could send a personal email, and what you might want to do, this is probably what I would do, is I would do a Loom video of you saying, here's what's happening, guys. I know I went quiet. I'm really excited. I want to share this with you. This is what I'm doing. This is where you can sign up for my email list. I'm excited about, so send them to a place to actually opt in to MailerLite or ConvertKit. But because you can, send that, but I would do a Loom video and then just do a screenshot of you on video, say, I have a personal message for you. And there's tools that do this, but you may as well just use Loom for free. And then send them the video and just say, go to, mysite.com/whatever you want to do, or use a pretty link, but send them somewhere to actually opt in and confirm they want to hear from you.
So send them to the site, even though because they already opted in on my site. So
where did they go? Well, let them know that you've changed email service providers, because if they just signed up, so that's how I would do it. I would say, I'm very excited. I'm doing this and I have changed email service providers. So to make sure that I stay in your inbox, and this is what I'm planning to do. You'll hear from me at least once a week, or you'll hear from me twice a month. I always err on the side of caution, but absolutely. Even though they signed up on your site, just say you're switching email providers.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the more authentic you are, people are really forgiving. Like people understand. Yeah, it's not like we're all perfect here, and you had good intentions. It's not like the reverse where you spam them to death. It's all,
Right.
So I think people are just way more forgiving. If you, just like Kim said, just do that nice little video. Hey guys, here's what the plan is now. But I would follow through with the plan. If you do that too often, if you do this again, people are just going to not come back. So make sure that the next one kicks off a nice series of emails from you, videos from you, whatever that's going to be, so that they maintain engagement. But once you do this a third or fourth time and you disappear again, you're going to lose them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And don't be like crazy, overly apologetic.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to say, you guys, you opted in and you haven't heard from me and I apologize, and then move on. I'm so sorry. You know, like some of that gets like, I've seen people do that and then they do it over and over and over again. I'm like, dude, just stop. Just send me an email.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Longmire has their hand raised.
I hope you can hear me. I run a civic association and we use MailChimp, your favorite, I can tell. And amazingly, I get between 50 and 45% open rates and click rates in the 4 segments of that in the 20% range, some as low as 10%. But it's segmented based on those who have paid their membership, those who are deadbeats and ride along as free and should have paid, but they don't. We're real expensive, $20 a year a person. And we do provide great value. However, we have an old PDF newsletter, which is published monthly on our website. And there's a link in the email to that newsletter. And there's a loyal following to that. But I cannot seem to get any of the millennials who live in the multifamily dwelling in the neighborhood to join for more than 1 year, and then they're out. And of them, there's probably 700 of them there. Of them, I have 3 that are members in the Civic Association. They use the park that we got them for free. They use the new roads and the sidewalks that we got them for free. They walk their dogs all over this neighborhood that we've improved for them for free, but they just don't engage. And if I've sent them 15 emails or 9 emails or 6 emails or even 3 emails in a month, they would unsubscribe in a heartbeat. So, and I'm sending HTML emails. I tried plain text ones, but I couldn't get the links. I didn't get the link response with plain text. So I'm throwing myself on your expertise and mercy here. Has anybody done civic association stuff?
So a couple things. And what's your first name so I can address you? I feel bad.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm on the upstairs computer with no camera and no real Zoom identity on this computer.
That's all right. So first of all, where I would start with that is I would want to look at the content in the newsletter, and you know, because at the end of the day, it's like what's not hanging. Something's not. Russell Brunson, he's a marketer, hook, story, offer, right? So what is the hook? What's the hook you're using to get them in and keep them in, right? So what is the value? What's in it for me is what it's always going to come back to. And so, you know, again, and maybe you can ask those people too, would you rather get this via SMS? How would you rather have this, right? So to start with that, and if you're using a newsletter that's already getting great engagement, I would highly recommend publishing it. I would, even though it's specific, traffic to your site, I would test it. I would even put it on Medium as a publication, but that's a whole other conversation. So I would have to look at the content. That's where I would start, like what's in it for them. That's where I would start with. And I'm guessing, so if you guys heard it, I'm sure you've heard of it. And there was a neighborhood app or something that got really popular in the last couple of years. My sister loved it. I was like, oh my God, if I hear one more person complaining, I'm going to punch them. And I unsubscribed immediately, right? So you're looking at 2 different audiences. And so that one, in terms of civics, Nextdoor, thank you. Lester, yeah, Nextdoor. Okay. That was it. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I don't like drama.
The worst thing since Facebook.
Yes, I totally agree, right? So I would have fun with that. Guess what? We're not Nextdoor. So I would play up, you know, I would pull in, and again, it might sound weird because it's a community, a civic thing. And so how do you find that cadence and that voice for it? But be that beacon of humor and fun and lightheartedness. People friggin' need it right now, right? So yeah, like you send them a city calendar of events. Well, I would pull it here's a great example. Okay. And it depends on where you're curating content from. And I get it, you guys, that I do this for a living. So I'm always looking and reading at stuff. I saw a tweet yesterday about this mother that said, I got a call from my son's school asking us to make sure he doesn't bring the toaster to school again, to to toast Pop-Tarts for his friends. And I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Right. So I did a screenshot of the tweet, but that type of content would do great in a neighborhood, in a civic thing where there is lightheartedness and we're remembering that we're all people and we're connecting. And for the millennial piece, how do you feature something specific to them? And again, I'm not seeing your content. So maybe it's an interview with somebody that runs the wine bar or a fitness place or something, or it's a click or featured business. Again, I don't know what the content is, but the first thing I would do is really pull in, and I'm thinking this is Lester. So I would pull in, what is the hook, and test those hooks, right? Because you've got different demographics and that could be tricky. And I think you said you're using MailChimp. There's a lot of ways. There's another tool where you can let people self-select when they want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And what they want to hear from you and how often. So you might need to go a little deeper with that. And with the $20 subscription, you got to start thinking, I would phrase it with math. So as an example, so I've got this email insiders program. And when people start thinking, God, $1,000 to $1,500, I'm like, I've got a math equation to show them. All right, if you had a newsletter, and so where I explained to you guys that I was, and you could, that's another thing. Side note, Lester, I don't know if you could do, you could let businesses, I don't know how big the list is, but let businesses do classifieds and.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Kim.
Oh, good. It's not me.
No.
So to answer her question, we do have businesses. The list is small now because our neighborhood is 31 blocks.
Right.
And the businesses along the periphery are being quietly decimated by absentee landlords in favor of 30-story megastructures that will ultimately kill our 100-year-old neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of motivation to prevent that from happening. And we have a huge successful track record with our city council where we have no zoning.
It's Kim. Hold on one second. Hi, Kim. Yeah, the power went out. Oh no. Okay, well, we'll just keep moving on. If the power comes back on, hop on in.
Okay, well, tell them thank you if I don't come back, and tell anybody you email me.
Okay.
I'm happy to have conversations. I love talking about this stuff.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Kim.
Bye.
So her power went out. Another
my
area
Zoom
that
hybrid meeting last night,
right.
where all of a sudden there was feedback and nothing else.
Right. Same things happen here. Even in Greatwood, I think a couple of days ago I had a meeting and the power right out twice, two Zoom meetings, power went out. So it's not just Costa Rica, right? I think the other thing I would look to for your sake is I know in Greatwood we have a Facebook Greatwood page. I don't know if you have anything like that where it's a Facebook group, I should say, not a page, a Facebook group. And so the whole community is in this group. And if you're sending out newsletters, I would a snippet beyond what Lester says to the calendar of events, coupons for nearby businesses to help encourage more engagement with local businesses, but also maybe snippets of recent posts from your Facebook group if you have one. If you don't have one, I would think about and encourage you guys build something like that so that everybody can communicate with each other, especially if you're trying to kind of build that community and build something that others, if you're trying to prevent the encroachment of all these big apartment buildings and stuff. But I would maybe find things that are of interest to those snippets. You can take a little snippet graphic, put that in there, that a funny thing, a fun thing, a family thing that's happening, and then send them off to the Facebook post itself. But that's just an idea I had.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome. Hey, Sharon, I'll see if I can help answer a question that maybe Kim would answer, but what's your question, Sharon?
So well, since you do WooCommerce also, you might be able to help. So and I've been putting together a course for web designers that.
Oh, you're skipping out on me, Sharon. I can't hear you. You're skipping. I didn't hear the first part. Can you start over?
Yeah, my internet gets just like everybody else's. It starts to go out. I was saying that I'm working on a WooCommerce course that teaches web designers to, increase their skill set by adding WooCommerce to their. So at this point, I'm having a hard time creating a WooCommerce lead magnet. So I'm like, I have like the 5 best plugins for WooCommerce, but I just don't think that's attracting the right audience. I really want to target the web designers that are looking to earn more money and wanting to add to their skill set, and so that I can obviously email them
Yeah.
and get them on that track to joining my course. But so I'm just like, either I'm too much in my head trying to think, what is it that the target audience is looking for? How do I attract that with a lead magnet? Do you have any suggestions?
Well, the community, I'm sure, can probably provide some ideas. The first thing that came to my mind is not like a PDF ebook, but a mini course that could be 2 or 3 videos that you offer somebody just from a beginner level, that you can put together somewhat quickly, put some time into it. But I think that would be a great lead magnet is, watch my 3-part mini course on getting started with selling WooCommerce services. And then
that's a good one, because I have started doing that, but I wasn't really using that as a lead magnet, so that may be better. You're right. So because I have this Tech Mouse Club that I'm
there you go. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, well, be sure to share it with y'all. We have a Facebook group. If you haven't joined it, Sharon, feel free to share that link when you get that course up and running. Throw that in the Facebook group. Yeah, please.
Okay, great.
It'd be great. I think everybody in the community would love that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And the comment that I made about building a community, a lot of people are moving away from Facebook. So there are some community apps now that you could look at. The one that I've looked at a lot, and I've been on a couple, but the one that I've kind of been sold on is one called Heartbeat. It's really great. I mean, it has everything that I've been looking for, because I've done the same thing. Scuba Club, and I've been building a community since 19 something. But we've been on Meetup and we've been on Facebook, and it's still, you're still spread all over the place. So I wanted to bring all of that in to one place, and this Heartbeat actually does that.
Is this it? Just heartbeat.com? Is that it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a suggestion, to those that are trying to build a community, it might be worth doing it outside of Facebook, because remember, Facebook does you. So.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hey, anywhere that builds a community. Yeah, I totally agree. Yes. The only thing I can see is that the reason why people are on Facebook is they already are on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the hard thing.
Which is why we did it too. I did it for my group. Yeah. Everybody's on Facebook. Let's go there. But
especially as we all just want to get away from it. I know I'm one of them. I don't post nearly like I used to at all.
I know. So. I don't either. Yeah. But thanks for the suggestion. I'm going to actually just kind of pivot now.
Cool. Well, guys, it is 12:30. I have work to do. I am sure you have work to do. So I'm going to end this all. And I'm going to share Kim at kimdoyal.com. That's her email address. So feel free to email her and ask her any other questions you might have missed, or subscribe and to get any details from her. But anyway, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate y'all. And I'll see you guys next month. Bye.